Racing is one of the oldest genres in video games. There are thousands of titles to choose from that cover everything from simulation to arcade, but what are the best racing games ever? Well, I'm Mark from RacingGames, and here are our picks for the best racing games of all time. Mario Kart is a racing game series that all gamers can enjoy, with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe arguably the magnum opus of the entire franchise, a best hits for the series if you will. The Switch upgrade has suited Mario Kart 8 well, with the upgrade to HD graphics making the tried and tested formula spectacular to look at. It's little wonder why this game has sold over 50 million units, becoming one of the best-selling video games of all time. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has the biggest and best selection of tracks, characters, karts and accessories to choose from. Name any Mario Kart track and the chances are it'll either be already in the game or planned for a future DLC release. While the original Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo was revolutionary, and the games on the DS and Wii also great, nothing matches 8 Deluxe. The fact that Mario Kart 9 isn't even being talked about shows how impressive 8 Deluxe really is. Need for Speed has been going for almost 30 years now, and while Need for Speed Unbound can be fun, albeit in small bursts, it doesn't even come close to the series' best. Need for Speed Most Wanted, the 2005 version of course, not the remake, is still the best the series has produced, and is absolutely timeless. Great cars, fantastic customization, an iconic soundtrack, and that gloriously cheesy storyline filled with over-the-top cutscenes makes Most Wanted an experience you'll never forget. In most fans' estimations, the Underground games are the only two which come close to Most Wanted, and it's hard to disagree with that. If Need for Speed can return to these glory days, it will become one of the best series out there again. There's no question about that. Most Wanted was a product of its time though, and it's possible that Need for Speed will never get back to these levels. The 2012 remake was an attempt at returning the series to past glories, and yeah, it didn't exactly work. It's hard to believe that a game that's approaching 15 years old is still as popular today as when it launched. Ever since releasing back in 2008, iRacing has been in constant development and is always evolving and expanding. The fact we're in 2023 and the game has just received a brand new UI update along with a list of new features really does speak volumes. The array of circuits and cars available is amazing, and the simulation physics are second to none. It's a truly incredible experience. The game does struggle a little with accessibility, but take that away and here's the true driving sim title. Eat your heart out, Assetto Corsa. Chances are that if you're a millennial, you will have played this classic next entry on an arcade machine at some point. In fact, even those in Gen Z can enjoy Daytona USA, as it's still one of the most common racing games to find in arcades. Having been around since 1994, you'd think that this game would have aged significantly, but you'd be wrong. Yeah, the graphics and sound are now dated, but it's just as fun now as it was in the 90s. Let's be honest here, Daytona USA was never made to look good, was it? Racing stock cars around ovals for as long as you can in a classic time attack mode for only 10p a go, don't mind if we do. Speaking of money, this game holds the world record for the most coins sunk into it, which speaks volumes about its quality and addictiveness. Plus the fact you're not really in an arcade until you hear the iconic Daytona theme music blasting across the room. Burnout is a series that we really wish was still going. Burnout produced some of the best arcade races ever, and we believe that Burnout 3 Takedown is the best of its kind. Burnout 3 transformed the franchise from simply being a racer to the iconic and unique style that the series is now best known for. You could now take down your opponents, meaning that it wasn't just racing anymore, but survival. Hours upon hours were spent playing this classic, and not one of them was wasted. Just like most EA games from the mid-2000s, the soundtrack is also a classic. Even to this day, the crunching noises the cars make as they fly up into the air and split into 1,000 pieces hits harder than any game has since. Many may have expected us to put Burnout Paradise on the list instead, but without Takedown, there wouldn't even be a Paradise, and so it's only right that Burnout 3 takes this slot. Long before Codemasters took over the reins of the Formula 1 game, there was an F1 game that all were compared to. Grand Prix Legends was released back in 1998, and just like iRacing, it still receives updates to this day. These aren't updates via the developers however, but rather the modding community. This has polished and tweaked the game to make it appear almost brand new, despite being over 20 years old now. Grand Prix Legends is often called the most realistic racing game ever, and it's easy to see why. The damage and handling models are both more extensive and accurate than most modern games, and the game is very challenging and genuinely terrifying at times. Flying up the old Eau Rouge or around the Monza banking in 1960s F1 cars is something you won't forget in a hurry. Grand Prix Legends proves that with a dedicated modding team, games really can become timeless. Finally, we have the game many have likely been waiting for. In truth, Gran Turismo's 1 to 4 all could have made this list, so it's no surprise we've chosen a GT title to top our list. Gran Turismo 4 wasn't the first GT on the PS2, but it's when Polyphony made perfect use of the new hardware. This is still one of the best selling games in the series' history too, shipping almost 12 million copies worldwide. Gran Turismo 4 has a handling model that some games even today cannot match, and the car collection was huge, with 721 cars in total. This was a series high at the time, and significantly more than Gran Turismo 7 has even today. The level of detail that was also put into the game's single player mode was incredible. You really did feel as though you were a real driver, not just someone controlling a computer generated racer. Maybe we've got nostalgia goggles on, but the graphics don't look bad at all, especially considering this game came out in 2004. Gran Turismo 4 is a rare game in that it has both quality and quantity, and we think it's the best racing game of all time. Now of course this list isn't definitive. We've even missed off solid titles like F1 2020, the first Gran Turismo, Forza Horizon 3, Colin McRae Rally, Wreckfest, and even Assetto Corsa. If we've missed out any of your favourites, be sure to let us know in the comments below, and why not hit the subscribe button while you're there. For now though, thanks for watching. I've been Mark from RacingGames, and we'll catch you here for another video on the channel soon.